Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Devotions today. May the Lord be with you, and I pray that it will be a truly blessed week for you. You know, there's some tough decisions that we have to make in life, and I'm sure you've had some of those. There are things that are clearly right or wrong. We'd all agree, but there are certain issues that we don't agree on. And those can be really difficult. Just to use a very, very simple example. If a lady comes up to me and says, "Do you like my dress?" And I think it's really not very beautiful, I'm caught. And so I will say to her, "No, you look lovely in it," because to say that the dress looks terrible would be uncompassionate. And we're caught between the law of not telling a lie, but at the same time there's the law of compassion, that we need to love somebody as we love ourselves. And you have to make a decision. Jesus was also caught in those situations. You can read one of them in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 13, from verse 10 and onwards, where Jesus was in the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and there was a lady who had been bent over for 18 years because of these terrible problems with her spine. And he reached out and touched her, and she was wonderfully healed. And the leader of the synagogue said, "Why didn't you come on another day and not the Sabbath to be healed?" And Jesus said to the synagogue leader, "If you have an ox or a donkey on a very hot Sabbath day who need to be taken to water to drink, you would lead them out so that they could have their thirst quenched. How much more then this woman, who is a daughter of Abraham, one of your own people, how much more should we not help her and heal her on the Sabbath day?" And there were these two issues. The one was the law, the Sabbath law, which was very serious. In the Old Testament, if you broke the Sabbath, you'd be put to death. And here was this woman who needed the love and the compassion that Christ could show to her. And Jesus chose to show her compassion, even though it meant that he broke the letter of the law, because he saw compassion as being more important at that point than keeping the law of the Sabbath. There is what you might call a hierarchy of values, and it happens in many ways. For instance, in the United Kingdom at the moment, they are debating about assisted dying. Here's someone who's very ill, been suffering for years maybe, and just wants to let go now. The time that person feels has come. But on the other hand, it says, "Thou shalt not kill." And so once again, you've got law and compassion. And there are many other areas in life as well. We think of going to war, the decision whether you are going to take part in an activity that might mean killing people, or whether you're going to not to. And you've got the law, and then the compassion of protecting your family. There are issues in our own generation which are very difficult. The issue of abortion, the issue of divorce can be complicated in that way. We look at the issues around sexuality and gender. And there are issues like this where sometimes the right and the wrong are not quite that clear, and even Christians disagree with each other on them. So how do we go about making decisions in these situations? Difficult one. I think a very important one is that we need to look into the scriptures and pray deeply. We need to honor God and to do what we feel is pleasing to God. We need also to honor the people that these decisions will affect. Are we treating them with the respect of ones who are made in the image of God? We also need to honor and respect ourselves. Will we be able to live with the decision that we make? And above all, I believe that we need to make sure that our actions are always compassionate and fair. These are difficult things, and we're not always sure whether we get it right. And it was the same in the day of the New Testament. People disagreed with each other on certain issues, and at the end of his letter to the Romans, Paul writes this about people who were criticizing each other for their decisions. And he says, "You then, why do you judge your brother or sister? Or why do you look down on your brother or your sister? For we will all stand before God's judgment seat. It is written, as surely as I live, says the Lord, every knee will bow before me, every tongue will confess that I am God." So then, each of us will have to give an account of himself or herself to God. Will we be able to stand before God one day and say why we made the decision that we made? May God give you grace and wisdom as you face from time to time these kind of decisions in your life. And have a wonderful day. The Lord goes with you. God bless. Bye for now.